Right now, for about $2, you can open an app, start a video call, and a face that looks like Jesus will look you in the eyes and offer to pray over your life. Millions of people are already turning to artificial intelligence for spiritual guidance, not just to study the Bible, to be shepherded by it. And most of the church has no idea it is happening. So stay with me, because by the end of this, you are going to know exactly where the line is between a tool and a counterfeit. And I want to know if you agree with me, because I think this is one of the most important conversations the church is not having right now. Let me show you the receipts, because this is not a rumor, and it is not fear-mongering. In 2026, the faith technology boom went fully mainstream. There are now AI gurus, AI priests, AI Buddhist monks, AI versions of Jesus, and chatbots built specifically for Christians to answer their spiritual questions. On some of these platforms, you can literally join a live video call with an AI-generated Jesus, who will pray with you in your own language any time of the day or night. He never gets tired. He never gets frustrated with you. He never tells you a single thing you do not want to hear, and he costs less than a cup of coffee. So sit with that for just a second. We have built ourselves a God who is always available, always agreeable, and always for sale. And the Bible already has a word for a God that you can build with your own hands and control. It is not a compliment. Here is the part that should make every single believer lean in and pay attention. One of the biggest of these tools was trained on 2,000 years of church teaching, the entire catalog, so it can answer almost any question about faith in seconds. And the reason somebody built it tells you everything you need to know about where we are. So many Christians were already typing their spiritual questions into ChatGPT. What does this verse really mean? Should I forgive him? Is what I did a sin? Am I going to be okay? That developers looked at that demand and decided to give them a holy-sounding version of the same thing. Read that back to yourself. People were already taking the deepest questions of their soul to a machine. The demand was there first. The church did not lose these people to atheism, and we did not lose them to some other religion. We lost them to a search bar that answers instantly, feels safe, and never once asks them to show up on a Sunday. Now here is what none of these slick apps put in the advertisement. Several of these spiritual AI tools have already been shut down, paused, or quietly rebuilt because they generated false information and raised serious data privacy concerns. So let that actually land for a second. People went to these tools looking for a word from God, and the machine handed them a confident, polished lie. And that is not a small technical bug you can patch. This is the heart of the whole problem. An artificial intelligence does not know truth. It does not know God. It predicts the next most likely word based on patterns. So when you bring it the single most important questions a human being can ask, about your sin, your shame, your salvation, your eternity, it will answer you in the smooth, certain, comforting voice of something that has never knelt at a cross, never been broken, and genuinely cannot tell when it is wrong. And the entire time, it is logging every confession you type. So why is this actually working? Why are millions of people reaching for this? Because something left a hole, and water always finds the empty space. Just look at the numbers with me. About 40 million American adults used to attend church regularly and no longer do. 15 million of them identified as evangelicals, our own house. And for the first time in 80 years of researchers tracking this, more Americans now stay home on a Sunday morning than walk through the doors of any church. Among people under the age of 30, 1 in 3 now claims no religious faith at all. 40 million people walked out of the building. But here is the part we cannot miss. They walked out still carrying the questions. The longing did not leave with them. So when a glowing screen offers them comfort, a verse, and a prayer, with no pews, no people, and absolutely no accountability, of course, they reach for it. The AI did not create the hunger. It is just feeding it the wrong food. And listen, God actually told us this would happen. 2,600 years ago, through the prophet Jeremiah, he said this, "My people have committed 2 evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of living water, and they have dug for themselves cisterns, broken cisterns that can hold no water." Now sit in that for just a second because it is almost frightening how precisely it describes this exact moment. A cistern is a man-made tank you build to store water after you have already walked away from the well. And that is precisely what an AI Jesus is. It is a broken cistern. It looks like it can hold the living water. It uses the words, it quotes the verses, it sounds holy. But there is nothing actually living inside of it, because the source was always a person. And we quietly traded him for a container that we built with our own hands. The same Bible that warned us about other gods warned us about this exact kind of thirst. Now hear me carefully here, because I build with artificial intelligence every single day, and I am not going to stand here and tell you the technology itself is evil. A hammer is not evil. AI can genuinely help you study the word, organize your week, plan your meals, and dig deeper into a passage than you ever could on your own. That is a tool. And God has always allowed his people to use the tools of their time. But a tool is not a shepherd. Jesus said, "My sheep hear my voice, and they follow me." An AI has no covenant with you. It has no spirit living inside of it. It has no scars. It cannot weep with you at a funeral. It cannot rebuke you in love when you are wrong. And it has already proven that it will lie straight to your face. The danger here was never the tool itself. The danger is the swap. It is quietly trading the living God, his word, and his people for a confident voice inside a glowing rectangle. "You shall have no other gods before me," never once made an exception for the ones that happen to run on electricity. So I am not going to wrap this one up in a neat little bow for you because honestly, the church has to wrestle with this one together. Using AI to help you study is one thing. Letting it quietly become the voice you trust over the Word of God and over the actual people God has placed in your life is a completely different thing. And where exactly that line sits, I think every single one of us is going to have to decide for ourselves before the culture decides it for us. So here is my honest question, and I genuinely want your answer in the comments. Would you let an AI pray for you? Have you already asked one a spiritual question that you were too afraid to ask a real person? And where is your line between a helpful tool and a dangerous counterfeit? Tell me down below. Because I read the comments, I will reply to you personally. And I think this is a conversation we desperately need to have together before the next generation grows up believing a chatbot is the same thing as a shepherd.